right. Good evening, traders. Let's do a sound and visual check. Can you guys hear me? How are you, Jake? Let's do a check on your end as well.
Doing good, Dakota. How are you? You sound good to me. Looks good as well. Welcome everyone to Slow Markets.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody. It's Coach Dakota here in Slow Markets and the late, great Coach Jay. I don't know what I was in if you were watching Power Hour today. I was going to say later tonight I'll have the great Coach Jay, but it came out.
I'm alive and in good health, and it is a blessing.
Better than the NASDAQ today, that's for sure.
Right.
How was your trading day? Did you trade at all? Did you? If so, what markets?
I took a short in the ES. Ended up getting stopped out before the ultimate, drop off. I realized where I was short was pretty much settlement. I got short around 58.71 on the way back up. Right idea, wrong timing. But outside of that, did not trade too much.
Okay, what do you have in front of you? Is it that NASDAQ or no? That's platinum.
That is platinum. We were talking before we got on. This is probably the one market I see presenting a trade opportunity right now. Potentially looking at a short in platinum here at the low, this opening range, 10.17, risking the highs, and not looking for too much because the monthly VWAP in platinum is right around 10.10. So that would be the target on this trade conservatively. And then if it wants to, sell through that and go back to 1,000, then I'm okay with that as well. But looking for a little bit of a pull up here. Maybe to 10.18, if not 10.20, to get in short and then risk above 10.22.
Perfect. I did forget, as always, the Topstep risk disclosure in the YouTube chat.
Of course.
Everything that we talk about tonight is for educational purposes only. It's not a signals class. And yeah, big shout out to Tim, 60 years old and can hear us just fine. So we know the audio is on point tonight.
Very nice. How was your day today, Dakota? How'd you trade today?
It was mixed. It was I took losses in my live account. I traded. I always practicing testing new strategies in combines, and then XFAs. I did really well in XFAs today. I made 25,000, but and in my live account I struggled. I got chopped up. Last night I was actually short the NASDAQ and woke up to a good surprise anyway. So a good surprise in that aspect. Other than that, we've had quite a sell-off today. You guys could see this. I could go ahead and move it to my charts and we'll go through our regular rapid fire. We'll talk about the NASDAQ, crude oil, then the Nikkei. I'm watching the Nikkei on the side. I actually might talk about the Nikkei a little. Actually, I'm going to talk about the Nikkei right now. I have, if you guys could see this, I have two charts open. Over here on the right-hand side, I'm watching the Nikkei, as you guys could see that. I see a potential trade set up, and I'm done missing trades. I'm done running a stream and missing the trades. I'm going to prioritize the stream, Coach Jay. However, if I do see a trade set up, now that I have two charts, I'm going to want to take advantage. It seems like the past week or two, I've missed so many decent trade opportunities because I'm either too distracted or just having one chart focusing on one market. And I think it's going to be good to have two different markets open. It's going to take me a little bit of time to get used to, but we'll see how it goes. So here's the Nikkei, the Japanese market over here on the right. So let's focus on that one for a moment. This is a 1 hour chart. We've had this massive rally, and you can see it on the daily chart as well. This is kind of a ranged market, not a good looking range, but it's kind of been hovering around this area, right around 39,000 plus or minus. And then as we start to zoom into the last 3 days, we've had, three very major bullish days here in the Nikkei. And now that I'm looking at this on the daily, it does not look too great because we had a 3-bar reversal on the daily. So maybe we see even a bigger sell-off. However, on the hourly chart, this is what I was watching. This is what I am watching. So you can see this pattern from the middle of October, so October 16th through 21st. And this was a very great pattern. We broke down, it played out really well. And so the support of this pattern I'm going to see if this will become support again. You can see on
Okay.
this rally up, we had a bit of resistance. We broke through that resistance. We sold off. That resistance then became support. So if the Nikkei can get back down here towards this area, I think I'm going to be taking a long trade here in the Nikkei. Thoughts on
Right around
that?
right around that 39,000 area.
Yeah, right around that 39,000 area. Yeah.
Okay.
The only hesitation is these nice wicks. Those wicks can be pretty dangerous. The low of those wicks are
Yep.
going to 38,900. So, wide stops. I love to have wide stops. I mean, I've been working on my strategy. I'm always working on it, and maybe if you could give your opinion on this statement. I talked about it a little bit, I think yesterday or the day before, talking about how newer traders that are just learning or trying to become consistent is better off using smaller size and wider stops. So that way they don't run into a situation where they just get stopped out and then they were correct in the direction anyway. So I think I'm
Yeah.
going to continue to do that in my trading as well. So maybe reducing
Especially
size
with
and widening
especially with
stops.
range bound markets that we've seen a couple of days in the equities, right? Where you could have the direction right on where the range is going, and especially if you're trading the NASDAQ, you get a little extension outside of the range before it eventually goes your way. And then you're out of the trade, and it's just like now you're FOMOing into a decision that you don't really like. I think widening your stops and trading smaller size definitely makes sense.
Okay.
Looking at the Nikkei, I know I don't trade it often, but it's what Coach Paul and I have been calling the urgency trade. It's the only one that's actually presenting an urgency trade right now to the short side, where we have that first 30-minute opening range, Globex session opening range, VWAP leaving the range to the downside. So it looks like a good short, but if I was short right around where you're looking to get long, and this is exactly what we've done on fast markets a couple of times, Dakota. It's like, oh yeah, I'm short here, but I'm going to hand it off to you so you can take the long. I'd be looking to take profits right around here as well.
Fair enough. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Sometimes it's one of those where we don't quite get there, and then we start to bounce off of it, and it can be a little bit frustrating. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing tonight. It's going to be a lot harder for me to buy, say, the NASDAQ. We did have earnings. You had at the buzzer. How was at the buzzer? You talked through those earnings.
Yeah, Microsoft beat on their earnings. What do we have? Meta as well. Starbucks was a miss. We talked about what my favorite order from Starbucks is. What's yours, Dakota? What are you ordering from Starbucks? Because their sales are down, so whatever it is, we got to go buy more of it.
Yeah. Covered calls. That's usually what I go to. I usually.
There you go.
Hot chocolate. I'm cutting
Okay.
down on caffeine. I've been drinking. What's it called? It's the ice flavored. It's water, but it's flavored water. It's called like ice and
Okay.
carbonated water, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if that makes sense, because it's like addicting. Energy drinks are freaking addicting, and so I'm like, okay, well,
Yes,
I'll
they
just
are.
try carbonated water. You get that same feeling of carbonation and flavor. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm watching the Nikkei bounce without me. Anyway, let's keep talking. We'll touch base. I'll go back to this, but this has been quite the sell-off here in the Nikkei from basically where we were at yesterday, and it started during the London session, right at 3 a.m. Central. We sold off 1.75%. I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna keep my eyes on it. This is a 5-minute chart as well. And yeah, we'll see if we can come down here towards the 39,000. I'll be okay if maybe I could get into one. Maybe I build a position. That could be something I'm looking at as well, where maybe I could get into one if I keep my stop loss at, say, 38,865, 855, and then get into a second contract if we do see another opportunity. That being said, I'm going to keep that up, and I'm going to continue to watch the Nikkei over here on the right-hand side while I watch these other markets. So, and as we talk about these other markets, if you want to take it for crude oil, have you traded crude oil? lately? If
I
not,
have traded crude oil. I have not traded it lately. After that gap down, feels like we were somewhat consolidated today. We did break out of that range and test the gap down. That 69 level was the low of that gap. But I have not placed a crude trade in over a week. What about you?
same. That gap down is something that's going to be watched by everybody. I'm sure
Yep.
everyone's already watching it. I'm watching it. You're watching it. Everyone who trades crude oil, it's on their mind. The question is, do we fill that gap? Looking at my charts, and yeah, that's the question: is do we fill that gap? We tried to fill it. We attempted at it now today, not once. We pulled back, but we attempted twice, and we didn't really get too far. I don't really trade based off of what I think is happening or what I think other traders can be doing, but if I was an institution and I wanted to sell crude oil, or I wanted to get out of my position or sell crude oil anyway, and you need liquidity, right? I mean, what a better play. There's no other, like, that's a great opportunity for someone that wants to sell a ton of crude oil, where traders and a lot of retail traders who are buying to see if we can fill this gap, and maybe they could just dump off so many of their contracts to those trying to buy a gap fill trade. I don't know. That's just 100% opinion. I don't trade off that. I don't know too much, but that's something I would do.
Yeah, at some point we would have to assume that this gap fills. We don't know when it's going to happen. And for a day trade, do you preempt it and just buy it? What we saw today was a rejection right at the low of that gap, right? So I think trade location on a trade like that matters. I would much rather be trading near the lows of this range if I'm getting in long. And the worst case scenario, I can make money up to the lows of the gap. And if it wants to continue going, I can go from there.
Yeah, I'm all for filling this gap, to be honest. I would be okay with looking for pullbacks to buy now, since we are starting to see bullish market structure. I mean, we did have that thing that crude oil's very famous for, where we make a double bottom and the second one is lower, running for that liquidity or stops, and then we have that push higher. We did have this nice area of resistance. We broke through that, hesitated, broke through again, came back, tested it, and so now we're playing around $69 a barrel, and if we do, oh man, I gotta watch what I say. Yeah, as we do start to break through and fill this gap, the first area I'm going to be watching is 69.80s to $70 a barrel.
Makes sense to me.
And then we did talk about Nikkei. Nikkei still, you can see, just hovering around 39,165. Nothing yet. No trades to trigger. I'm going to actually zoom into a 5-minute chart, and I'll continue to watch it. I do see this wick that we did get last night, and so yeah, it's one of those things where if I do see any bullish structure here in the Nikkei, or if I see some type of reversal I might end up just taking it, and then if it does start to sell off, I'll be okay with a loss, and then I'll just wait for the setup again. So I'm okay with being pretty hard-headed with, okay, maybe the market's not going to give me 39,000. Maybe I look for a long, around where the market might want to reverse, get into a trade, and then if I take a loss, look for it to set up again. Japanese policy rate tonight, going to move a lot. That is actually something definitely to consider. And let's take a look.
It's about an hour after slow markets ends, but we know with that tentative, right, it could come out at any time, and then it looks like Japanese housing starts, another number out there. So
correct,
could be an interesting night in the Nikkei for sure, and the yen as well.
Yeah, great call out. That's why I love trading with the chat. You just never know, right? And you can't replace trading with a group. To be honest.
You know why I love trading with the chat? Because we have people like Ivan Ramirez who say it's 1,084 people are watching right now. Hit that like button. That's why I like trading with the chat. Shout out to you, Ivan.
I usually don't have it up. I'll have to look at it. Anyway, yeah. I'm not seeing anything else, and you know, what everyone's been talking about, gold. Every single night we've been making runs at all-time highs. You remember last night? Doesn't seem too long ago when we were just talking about it and we were starting to break out. And you know, sure enough, man, here we are, 2,800. And we're
3,000 seems
setting up.
inevitable, right?
What's that?
3,000 seems inevitable in gold at this point.
I mean, everyone's been talking about it. It might be one of those where it doesn't really matter what's going on. If everyone talks about it, it just goes there, right? I mean, it's kind of like NFTs or anything where people like, yeah, you know, it's going to go to 3,000, so nobody sells it. Everyone's waiting for it to get to 3,000, and then by law of supply and demand, we go to 3,000. So that could very well be part of that, Coach Jay, where is there, you know, any logical sense that we've went so high so fast over the past, if I go to the day, over the past year alone? I'm like, oh, well, I don't know. We pretty much, you know, like, look at this. Since October of last year, we were at 18,900. Or, well, not 18,000. I'm used to the Nikkei. 1,900. We were at $1,900 an ounce, and here we are sitting almost $1,000 an ounce higher in less than 1 year, or basically 1 year. And so I don't understand the way that gold's priced other than supply and demand. And I know it's like, what do we call it? An inflation hedge. We talk about fear. We talk about politics and everything else. And to me, it's just, at this point, I mean, who wants to sell the high? And whenever we start making new highs, I think it was a couple weeks ago or a couple days ago, where traders were shorting the all-time highs. I'm just like, don't do it. It looks very, very attractive. And I was giving an example the other night as well. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It could just keep going higher and higher. At this point, it's just anybody's guess of where this thing's going to stop until maybe 3,000. And that's also a maybe.
Yeah, it's not a market that I want to be short for a long time.
Flight to safety has accelerated as well. Yeah. Yep. Gold is a safe haven. I mean, that's all I have on gold. It's still a no trade for me. To me, I'm not going to touch this thing until we have a decent amount of pullback and market structure. Because I don't even want to buy here, even though I'm like, yeah, you know, this thing can go to 3,000. I don't want to be a buyer.
There is something that Eddie's Bong just mentioned, and Coach Paul's been talking about this as well, but he's saying BRICS nations and central banks are buying gold and dropping the US dollar, which has been, you know, some of the headlines that we've seen. So from a fundamental perspective, that could be why we're seeing this rally in gold. And, you know, if they're getting rid of the dollar and selling gold, how much reserves do they have to continue buying? So that's a rally that, if that's the fundamental basis, can continue.
Yeah. You know, I should have taken a payout in gold when I was talking about it. Down at 2,600. that would have been you know, hindsight capital trades. Measured moves. Yeah, that is also an option. Measured moves can very well be an option. At this point, it's a little bit harder for me on the measured moves because it's just so sporadic. It really is anybody's guess. I don't know. Do you see any measured moves on gold? I'll be right back. I need to go ahead and get something finished. I'll be back in just 1 second.
All right, sounds good. I just took a short in platinum, by the way, as well. Not risking a whole lot on this, risking the high of this 30-minute opening range. And MT says, can I explain the urgency trade? Sure. So what I'm looking for, and I know Dakota was talking about gold, but the most urgent trade we're seeing right now is this 30-minute opening range, right? Coach Paul and I have been, you know, framing out the first 30 minutes from the time trading opens and attaching VWAP to it and looking for VWAP to leave that range fairly early. Now, if you scan a bunch of markets with this same exact setup, the Nikkei is the one that's probably doing it the most urgently. And the reason we're calling it urgent is because VWAP is showing us that volume is pushing the market in a specific direction and not just price action, right? If we look at it here, really no urgency. If I look at the NASDAQ first 30-minute opening range, VWAP is in the range, no urgency. So looking for a steep angle on that VWAP and then getting in with the trend. That's what we're calling the urgency trade.
Urgency trade. Okay.
Yep.
Nice. I haven't really heard of that before. I mean, it makes sense. It does make sense. Nikkei is starting to sell off again a little bit. Selling off again, headed back towards that this area. Let's see if I really... Man, it's still... I don't know. It's so hard. I mean, here's the question, Coach Jay, in a market like this. And I'm specifically talking about Nikkei. Because I know traders are going to say this. You know, if it does get down to this level, and I do end up buying it, why or why not is this catching a falling knife?
Yeah, I wouldn't consider this catching a falling knife because of the momentum into these levels. Right, it's kind of this just slow. A knife doesn't fall like this. Right, if you look at a 30-minute chart, it does look dramatic, but this is kind of just this slow grind lower, and you're buying what you think is a support. I'd consider catching a falling knife more of very heavy momentum into a level and saying that, oh, this level based on a price basis should hold. Usually happens around hold numbers. That's more of a falling knife catch to me.
Hold numbers. Yeah, because it's always that. Because sometimes I do feel like, oh my gosh, is this just going to be a falling knife? And I see traders in the chat always talking about it, right? What's the difference between that or, you know, catching a falling knife or this and this and this? And yeah, it's difficult to say, you know, this isn't catching a knife. Here's why. Because it sure as heck looks like it. It sure does. It sure does look like it. But yeah, I think it's okay to trade if the market is, you know, rallying against you and you're trying to sell it. It's okay to trade if the market's falling and you're trying to buy it. However, you have to understand where your risk is, why you take that trade, and, you know, what the statistics of you doing this, right? Does it have a positive expectancy? Are you just testing this out? And then have a reason why you're getting in, but also have a reason and make sure you're managing risk and when you're getting out. So I don't say it's a bad trade. Oftentimes than not, you can get really good risk reward, but it could blow through and go against you extremely fast. I think we've all seen it. We've all experienced it. I prefer to maybe wait for a little bit of a market structure and like something like a 3-bar reversal, and you're giving up a little bit of risk reward, but you're getting a more probable trade.
I'm with you. So what price are you looking for in the Nikkei here?
Yeah, let me
39.1.
Yeah, right around 39. I would, yeah, this is a tough thing. It's more of a zone. I would say right around 39.050 is going to be the start of that zone. And it could even go away all the way down to, say, 39,000, maybe even 38,950. So
okay,
switch it to my charts and I'll kind of show you. So yeah, so it's hard, right? Because this is where, if there's any discretion in my trading, this is where it is. This is where it's the hardest thing for me to explain is, you know, what makes me say these levels? It's like, well, you know, this is a pretty decent sized zone. There's not an exact number. And if there's any discretion, this is it. This is where that discretion is for me.
Makes sense to me.
So I'm going to continue to watch it. I'm going to continue to monitor it. And until then, I'm not seeing anything else move. We're seeing NASDAQ. We did find buyers. We did get all the way down to, we did get all the way down to 400, 20,400. We've rallied up, got back up to, 442, kind of hovering there. And I mean, Maybe there was a reason to get in long there. We did have a lot of resistance in October 24th, right around the lower 400s, and that could have been a decent buy. Now that's a wick. Now the question is, are we going to see a bounce? Maybe we see a bounce up to the lows that we broke through today. I mean, we did have the earnings. We did gap at the start of the session. We got down quite a bit, actually. We were at 506 and we gapped down to, 481, but we did fill most of it. Is that a gap fill for you, Coach Jay?
Which gap are you talking about? Last night?
No, tonight.
Tonight.
On the NASDAQ tonight at the open at 5 p.m. Central.
Did we fill the gap? I don't think we filled it. No, we didn't, because settlement in the NASDAQ is, let me get the exact price. And to me, I consider settlement gaps. So if it didn't hit the settlement price, I would say it didn't close the gap. And settlement was 20,534. The high of the session was 496 so far. So no, I would say we didn't close it.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, because some people I do talk to be honest, have considered like, hey, if we've attempted to fill a percentage of the gap, they consider it no longer a gap.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I've never heard it. I've never done that myself. I've never considered that myself. It's always been, like you said, the close price, because it depends on the time frame you're looking at. Like, okay, you know what? On the 5 minute, sure, we touched about the candlestick of the last one, but then if you switch time frames, there's still a gap there. And then you could even switch time frames to more extreme, like a tick chart, not even time frames, like the tick chart, and you go through and change it. And it's one of those things where if you're searching for a trade, or if you're searching for what you want to see by changing time frames, eventually you're going to see it. And so I agree with you, Coach Jay, when it comes to what do you call it? A fact, right? A factual statement.
Yep, it's a price that we can all look at, and it's the settlement price for a reason. So that's where I look for it. The way I look at gaps, once we start to get price acceptance back inside of it, the first area I'm going to look, instead of the high of the gap is 50%, right? What happens at the midpoint of that gap, similar to what we have in crude oil, where we have this major gap down. If we start to accept price back inside this range, I'm not looking at the highs yet, right? Because there were some sellers that came in and caused this gap. 70.32 would be the first place for me to look.
Okay. And here's a good question: is what exactly is settlement? I always hear y'all refer to it.
You passed the Series 3. What's settlement, Dakota?
It's the date that that particular instrument settles at that closing price.
Yep, there it is.
I was trying to get that from you, Coach Jay. Come on.
What'd you say?
I was trying to get it out of you.
It's the price that the exchange settles an instrument. For marking trades to market, we need a price. So Correct. That is what settlement is.
And I believe it's the exchanges who set the price. And I know that Hogue and Eddie was saying that they would even have arguments on the floor of the exchange on what that settlement price is.
Yep.
Which is so interesting to me. I always thought it would be like, how's that even debatable? It should be the very last trade at that time. But I guess that's not always the case. And there's these little things that I've started to learn about, which is, it surprises me. I'm like, wow. Does this help me in my trading? No, but it's so cool to know. Or it's the clearinghouse. Yeah. Is it the clearinghouse? Yeah, it's the clearinghouse.
You passed the test, man.
You know what? I got the paper, okay? But the chat is right. It's the clearinghouse, not the... There's a bounce. There is a bounce in the NASDAQ. It's the clearinghouse. Oh, man. Yeah. All right, everybody. Eat it up. Not the exchange. YouTube's forever. YouTube's forever. All right, it is 8 p.m. We are seeing a spike in volatility. What are we seeing? I'm not seeing anything move yet. Nikkei's bouncing. You're in that trade, Coach Jay?
Yeah, I added a second contract to this platinum trade. I don't love it. I was kind of preempting that volume leaving the range, and it never happened. But I added here at 50% of this opening range. My risk is still above the highs, but we never really got that volume push to the lows. So this is probably a trade that's going to get stopped out.
Okay. And now it's starting to become tradition. We're going to watch gold hit all-time highs.
Let's do it.
Feels like it. Here's gold. Here we go, 2,800. I mean, it just feels like tradition this past week or two. Let's sit here and let's watch gold make it run going straight up and to the right.
Yeah, we're not far from it at all. Such a strong market.
Do you find does platinum correlate with gold at all?
Somewhat. Platinum has not been trending nearly as well as gold and silver. But if it's going to play catch up, it does have some room to make year to date highs. I think we're pretty far off from all time highs in platinum, but year to date highs are around 1125. Okay. So that's possible, right? If it's going to play catch up like the rest of the metals are.
So all precious metals, is this a fair statement? Precious metals like gold, platinum, silver, are they typically correlated? Because I think this is a question I've seen a couple times since gold just keeps going straight up and all-time highs. But then silver and some of the others are not really following the exact same suit to the correlation where maybe some might think.
Yeah, I think if I'm just looking at the charts, I don't know exactly what the correlations are. If I'm looking at the charts, silver's probably following the closest to gold. Copper's not. Copper's been in a pretty tight range, and platinum's not really as either. I'd say if there was a correlation, it's in silver.
Okay, and it's not 100%.
No.
Do I ever buy gold? No, I don't. I mean, I trade gold futures, but I do have a small amount of physical gold. I don't have a lot. I don't have, obviously, we always wish we had more, but I don't know. What about you, Coach Jay? Some Costco gold? Lost the audio.
Physical gold, no, but I will trade gold futures as well.
Gold futures. Everybody here, we need to try and convince MP to take delivery on something, whether it's hogs. I don't know. We have to get him to take delivery.
Cattle might be the easiest for MP. So? You could put him on the ranch.
He has a ranch, right?
I know he has
property. Who's going to be going? I'm not going out there. Maybe we could just all get the company to have the next, what do they call it, company retreat over there on the ranch, and we can just wrangle cattle for delivery. Yeah. Most clearing firms are not set up to take delivery. Yeah, the clearing firm isn't really. It's going to be a dedicated warehouse. I'll be curious. I would really be curious on that process as we were watching gold hold above 2,800. All-time high is 2,801. 2,801.
2,801.8. And we are 7 ticks off.
Yeah, we're at 2,801. All-time high is 2,801.8. Nikkei is still bouncing a little bit, hovering around 170. With that, like I said, major news policy coming in. I hate those tentative stuff. Markets are always just on edge, right? Where hey, we don't know when this is going to come out. We're waiting, and then it just can hit you by surprise.
Yeah, it's like let's get our positioning first and then release the news. I'm not saying that happens, but
yeah,
ACH.
Anything can happen, and you never know. You never know what's going on with some news events, especially when it's around the world, even anywhere. To be honest, major rejection right there at 2,801.2. I mean, it's not major, but I'm not seeing anything else on the tape. Maybe if we're not seeing anything, Coach Jay, we could get to some questions and then start talking about trader statistics.
Let's do it.
All right, let's get to a few more questions. So put them in the chat. Let's get some questions. We'll keep the eyes on the market as always. And if you see anything set up, let me know. Coach Jay, chat's always great at letting us know. But let's get to some of these questions, and then we'll pull up trader statistics. While I'm answering these questions, feel free. You guys know the drill. In the Topstep Discord, I have my channel under Coach Dakota. Feel free to submit your statistics there. And then put a description. The better the description you are able to put, the easier it is for Coach Jay and I to go through, review it, and give good feedback, because that's ultimately the goal. Is you guys are trading, you're putting the effort in, and if you want a good feedback from a coach, the more details, the better. And there it is. Andrew is always on top of it. Let's go through this. And while we're waiting for those to come, I do see one question, I believe. One question. Is there a specific time of night that you start to see good setups for an overall trade? I wouldn't say there's a specific time. I would say, no, there's no specific time. Yeah, sorry. There's not a specific time. A lot of the overnights, my slow market setups, which maybe we can find one tonight, and I'll review it and talk about it later on. They're pending orders that I leave overnight. And so I would say a majority of my trades personally get triggered while I'm sleeping. And to be honest, I think if I had to put a percent, it would be during the London session. During the London Open, sometimes they trigger during the Asian session, but London session for sure is usually when they trigger. But I set everything up before I go to bed, and it's usually an hour or two right around this time. You've been watching them, right, Coach Jay?
I was going to say that exactly. The London session, where we see volume start to come in the past couple of weeks, some of the best price action has been in that London session. And then by the time we get to New York, it's, fairly consolidated. So, London session for sure.
Yeah, but I do set my trades up, and I go over it. I need to go over it a lot more, and I'm going to continue to try and go over these things. So let's review some trader statistics, and then I'll maybe walk through a trade. Coach Jay, you could maybe walk through the trade with me, maybe provide some questions, and we could talk a trade out that we'll leave overnight. And then, tomorrow's already Halloween, Coach Jay. End of October.
Yes, it is
already here.
Are you going to be on TopstepTV tomorrow?
I am going to be on slow markets. It's going to be a scary slow market session. That's
nice.
That's going to be what I'm going to be doing. And Nikkei's
everyone on tomorrow is required to wear a costume. I'll be on tomorrow, so stay tuned. I think Deeyana is on tomorrow as well, so should be a fun episode of TopstepTV. I'm gonna watch it. I'm definitely gonna be watching it. I don't have me a costume yet. I don't know what I'll be. I'll probably have to wear one for slow markets though. I don't know. I'm horrible. I'm horrible with costumes. So am I, man. So am I.
Maybe a Bob Ross outfit. I absolutely love Bob Ross. Watching his videos and everything. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe we could be a market maker. Good one. We'll be a market maker.
Stop loss hunter.
Stop loss hunter. No. Okay. We need to have some bets on what people's going to be. I think either Dobie or Jack is going to be a Goldman intern.
For sure. 100%.
Someone's going to be a
100%.
Goldman intern.
Someone is going to be a Goldman intern for sure.
100%. I might be a bull. Maybe I do a bull. That's not scary. That's something I like. Okay, we're getting sidetrack. I'm over here watching the Nikkei rally without me. Once again, moves without me. Let's get to some of this. 2 more questions and then statistics. How do you share your stats? I have my live account. Coach Jay, do you have a combine or an XFA available?
Yep. Just click on the performance stats on the left side over here. This is a brand new combine, so you're not going to see any stats, but click on the performance stats and you have this share button. Click on share, and then it's going to say copy link. You're going to copy that link and then post the link in Dakota's Discord chat.
There we go. There we go. You mentioned today you like the Asian markets better than the New York. Can you elaborate on why that is? So this is the last question, and we'll do some statistics. The reason why I like the Asian market better than the New York session is because this is how I learned. I learned on the Asian session because I was going to college. I had so much other stuff going on, like college, work, and the only time I had to trade was right before I go to bed. And so I wake up, go to college, have a job, and then I get home, it's late at night, and I still wanted to trade because that was my passion. And I only had 1 or 2 hours before I go to bed. And I'm like, well, how can I trade these markets? Well, you have to trade using higher time frames. You're not going to be scalping like you do the New York session, and trades aren't going to be going like 2 or 3 minutes typically because it's a higher time frame. So I do trade on the 1 hour chart during slow markets. I like to do a top-down analysis. I'll look at the daily. I'll look at the 1 hour chart. I missed this trade. I missed the Nikkei trade. I missed this trade, and I told myself I wasn't, but that's okay. I look for very basic technical analysis. For example, this is purely just an example. This was a nice area.
You're on my charts, Dakota.
There we go. Oh, there they are not. Okay, so this is a very simple example that when I was doing an analysis on the NASDAQ earlier, was an area of support, and I look for very basic things like a 3-bar reversal, okay? And yes, Andrew's pointing this exact thing out. We have a nice trend, intermediate. I say this is an intermediate trend because it happened today. The overall trend for the NASDAQ, if we look at the higher time frame, technically is up and to the right? Like this is a bullish market that we're currently in. I mean, basically since September, right here, we're rallying, and it's been buy the dip modes. And so I'm perfectly fine and actually love buying these markets. And so here we are, we're at an area at support. We have a 3-bar reversal. My trade would be basically, yeah, right there at 437. My stop loss would be the bottom of that candle, and then I like to take profit at the gap fill, which is going to be up here at 506. So this is an example of a trade I would set up. Sometimes I would even have an order up here. Say the market was still down here, I'd have a buy stop, so it will only get triggered if we do rally up. And sometimes it doesn't trigger in until like the London session. But my order would be in, my stop loss is in, my take profits in. I could set it up, then I go to bed, and I just wake up the next day. And sometimes I don't even check the markets until I get back home from work or from studying. And it's more relaxed. It's a lot less stressful. And it's the only time that I was able to trade. And comparing that to the New York session, when you have 1,000 things going on and the volatility is absolutely crazy, this has just been a more relaxed way for me to trade. So hopefully that...
I think I'm going to cut this platinum trade.
Yeah, switch it to your charts.
I don't like it anymore.
That one's rallying. That's rallying.
Yeah,
well.
This is... Yeah, I think I'm going to cut this. Like I said, I preempted the trade looking for volume to leave that range, and it kind of just turned, and you see this red line kind of staying in here. This tells me trade it like a range-bound market, so I should be buying this. So I'm going to take this one off. Yeah, I'm taking that off. I don't like it anymore.
That's perfectly fine. I agree with that one. Let's review some statistics, Coach Jay. I'm going to heart the ones that I'm looking at right now, Coach Jay, so you can see them.
Okay.
And so that should make it easier.
As soon as I cut it, it keeps dropping. But yeah, go ahead.
Story of it. Story of that one. Man. Okay. So let's take a look at these. We're gonna try and get through some of them tonight. We have plenty of time, and traders that shared their statistics last week. I mean, I was a little bit slow. I didn't trade a lot of them, but let's do it. I don't know if you could pull them up on your screen as well, Coach Jay.
Yep. I'm looking in your chat. I see one. Yep, I got it.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna let you start again, and I'll be right back one more time. As soon as you get those statistics up, I need to adjust
All right.
your
Let me share this screen with you
video
because I'm
too.
sharing just the Topstep X with you.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
let me share the full screen.
Okay.
Give me
I'm gonna
one
adjust
sec.
your video while we're doing
All
this.
right.
For some reason, your video needs to be refreshed every once in a while from my end. There you go. That's a lot cleaner. A lot cleaner. All right. And you're sharing me.
I am sharing you the full screen now, so you guys should be able to see that trade
There you go.
report.
Beautiful. Hit it. I'll be right back.
Sounds good. So we have an XFA here. Looks like it was started October 23rd. About $1,000 in this XFA, 45% win rate. Your wins about 1.5 times your losses, which is great. Looks like this is potentially a 50K account. Let's see what we got here. I like the average hold times, about 14 minutes. A lot of trades. I'm assuming you're trading micros with this amount of trades in here, and sometimes that skews the data where you're scaling in and out of trades. I saw D had to talk to a couple of trolls on Twitter yesterday about commenting on the quantity of trades and the outcome of them. D, don't listen to the internet. Keep trading the way you do if you're still listening. But let's see here. We do have a ton of trades here, right? 89 trades, 39, 68. But if it's working for you, this account is in the profit. You're $1,000 in the green. I can't argue with that. The one thing I will say is be careful, especially in this instance, of that random urge to just scale up, right? Where you just want to throw on more size because things aren't going as quickly as you want it to. Those are the type of trades that can blow accounts like this, where you're keeping things small on the win and the losing side, which is fine. But then the moment you scale up, that skews the data, and one big trade can change everything. I like to see that you are journaling on a couple of these days, not every day, but that's fine. You got a couple of journals in here. And there are some days where you are profitable, and there's a couple of days where it's just like this, right? You are profitable and then end up giving back twice the amount you were in the profit. See what we can do to avoid this, right? Maybe locking in 50% of the trades for the day. I actually want to see how this went. Okay, so it looks like you were up on the day and then scaled up. Right. And that's exactly what I was talking about before. You were up on the day, feeling good, maybe reading the market well. And then the moment you scale up, those same trades that, may just be a marginal loss now hold more weight than they should. So just be careful of that. But otherwise, really good trading. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 days of profitable, that count towards a payout. That next day doesn't need to be tomorrow or today. Continue to trade, build this account. Love the fact that you're trading micros. Your hold times, the longer hold times, are where most of your winners are, which is good to see. And trading micros allows you the room to kind of hold on to these trades. So keep doing that. Keep doing that. I don't know if you're cutting trades early that aren't going in your favor, or if you're just getting stopped out pretty quick. But this 10 minute to 1 hour time frame is I think where this account needs to sit. But good stuff. Segi says, Segi's in the chat. All right. I trying to read the chat and notice at the same time, but Segi, he says, hey, that's me. Yes, 3 or 4 micros. When would you scale up from 3 to 4 micros? May not be a popular opinion, but think about scaling maybe once a year, right? If 3 to 4 micros is your max allocation, trade consistently with that size for 6 months, and then think about scaling up. What do you think about that, Dakota?
Oh, yeah, that's an unpopular opinion. That that's for sure, man. That's not what they want to hear. That's
No,
not what
not
the
at
chat
all.
wants to hear. They don't
Not
want
at all.
sound, solid advice. They want to hear you scale up next week.
Right.
But in all honesty, yes. It's not a sooner rather than later. It's a later rather than sooner, where, you know, maybe 6 months, right? Like I could see 6 months. I could say maybe how many micros?
3 to 4 trading right now.
3 to 4 trading micros. Maybe 4 to 5 in 3 months or 2 months. Like, don't double, right? Like, don't double your size.
Right.
And I'm just thinking through this. Like, I could see, like, okay, 3 to 4, and then maybe in a month, and you have good consistent trading. Maybe you go 4 to 5, then 5 to 6, then 6 to 7. Slowly scale up. Don't just go from 3 to 4 to 6 to 8, right?
Right.
And don't think about the dollar amounts. Just think about the process. It should be the exact same process.
Yeah, I agree with that. And if we think about it, right, if you scale up right now, right, you're trading 3 to 4. If you say, hey, I'm reading things really well, I want to trade 8. I'm reading things really well, I want to trade 16. There's a logistical decision that you have to make for every single trade that requires some mental capital. And then you're having these emotional swings where the P&L looks a lot different. And asking yourself to stay centered in all of that change can be difficult. It doesn't seem like it, but it can be. So if you could do it consistently for 6 months, 3 months maybe, if 6 months is too long, and then going from there.
I even have had traders size based off their account balance.
Yep, that's a good idea.
So that could be good, because you'll be scaling up and down depending on how you're trading, how the market is. So that is a possibility, right? So, for example, if you have, X amount of contracts for every $5,000, and then once you hit $5,000, this is just an example. Every $5,000 you bump up 1 micro or bump up 2 micros or whatever, like some type of set rules or system or process that you can follow exactly. It's simple, it's easy. You don't have to think. You don't have emotions involved. Yeah, sometimes I do see traders doing that, and I'm one of them where I do like to scale up with my account balance.
Makes sense.
There we go. Nice.
You got another one, Dakota, or?
If you see one, just heart it. I'm just going. We're just going through these accounts, guys. And feel free to throw in any questions you have, and we'll answer questions along the way. Preferably XFAs.
The one right after that, actually, Dakota.
Okay.
Looking for suggestions on how to determine if consistent enough to start copy trades. That's very similar to what we were just talking about, right? Scaling up. That's scaling up where you're not trading 1 account, you're trading 2. So take a look at that one.
Oh yeah, I like this one. I really do like this one. Time in the market, right? Like that. I look a little bit yellow, but time in the market, yes. Where this trader has been in this account for about a month, right? It's pretty much for the majority of October. Not a full month yet, but a decent amount of days. Profit factors really well. It's 3.5. All green days, all green days so far. Dang, all looking for $200-$300 worth of profit daily. So you're on one heck of a winning streak, that's for sure. Are those just? I'm seeing 3 trades. Like a lot of these are 3 trades.
A lot of these are 3 trades. There was one day, and this always happens, right? The day where there's more trades, there was usually a drawdown that the trader worked out of. Where this day they still ended profitable the 22nd, but we're down around $750 before getting back into the profit. So really nice recovery there. The only thing I ever say when I see stuff like this is what is the daily loss limit that you have on this account? It's the only question I have. Other than that, this is really good.
Yeah, if you click on that day with the 12 trades, Coach Jay,
Mm-hmm.
that's a little scary. So, and the reason why I say scary is that this day you were down at risk. I mean, $800 at one point, right? And that's going to wipe out an entire week. And
Mm-hmm.
what would a losing day be? That's the question. So sometimes this can be scary in the aspect of you'll have, say, 10, 13 green days in a row, but then 2 bad days will blow the account, right?
Yep.
And that's scary. It's all about risk management, looking through like some of these other statistics, going to my chart as well. The trade count, that's a good, bell curve. And the win rate, I mean, it's hard to tell anything from that. It looks really mixed in terms of how long you're holding your winners and losers. Average trade duration is 19 minutes. How long do you hold that? Like some of those losers on that day where he was down, they were down $800.
Looked like a little bit longer on those losers. I'm looking at the biggest losing trade, which was around 410 minutes.
This is interesting. Yeah, yeah.
It was big size on that trade too.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah, this is. I mean, this is great. I mean, if you can keep this up, it's hard to imagine that somebody can keep this up, right? All green days throughout this. Just beware when you lose. What does it look like? How is it going to be? And don't let like one losing day completely ruin this account. Because if you have use a daily loss limit, right? Your total P&L is 5,000. I mean, the last thing somebody would want is, hey, one of these days, $5,000 loss, right? And the count's gone in one day. I've seen it happen.
Yep.
All right, let's keep going. Let's see your stats on live account. They're showed daily on the big board. Soon, I want to be able to see the statistics here soon. But currently, combines and XFAs. Let's keep going. Gonna go through these. Let's see.
Looking for another one here as well. Oh, that one looks like it's not sharing data.
Not sharing data. 7 days. Going through some of these. Trading micros. 50K XFA. Oh, here's a new trader. Yeah, let's take a look at this one. It is. I'm gonna heart it right now, Coach Jay.
Yep, that's the one I just pulled up.
Oh, nice. XFA, it sounds like a 50K account, correct? Yeah, 50K XFA. This is nice. This is beautiful.
We found the perma bear.
Yeah, let's see. There we go. There it is. I forget about this statistics. That's a nice statistic. 7 long trades. Yeah, 397 short trades. 404. That's the number of trades and the number of lots traded. So it looks like 1 lot per trade. This is interesting. Over an hour and a half for the trade duration.
That's awesome.
That is, yeah, that is interesting. So you're just shorting the market. I'm so curious. It's working out, right? Like there's nothing against it.
Yeah, I was curious to see when some of these days were, because we know we've been in some of these ranges in the equities. I see this trader also trading the Dow and the Russell, it looks like sometimes as well, where the Dow was a pretty nice short over the past couple of days, right? Made a new all-time high and then pulled off of that all-time high. I think that's where some of these bigger trades came from.
Okay.
Nikkei trade in there as well. Someone did point out the best trade on this account is a long. P&L wise.
Really? Where's that?
P&L wise, they were in a long NASDAQ for 16 seconds on October 16th. Made $345.
Love that. love that. Long and strong. Doing,
Yep.
was that a news event or something? That was 15 seconds. Wow. 16 seconds.
Yeah. That might have been because that was it was 10 a.m. Eastern time, which we do get some news releases, and that was on a Thursday. I don't know what comes out on Thursdays, but oh no, sorry, that was a Wednesday. I don't know. It was something.
I mean, it's working, right? Trading
Yep.
these micros. I love the micros. Only thing I'm really seeing is look at this. The day that he lost $600 and the day that he lost, he or she, they lost the bigger losing days. Man, that's a lot of trades. It is. And
Yeah.
138 the following Wednesday as well. And some of these other days are pretty dang solid. Like I don't know if it's scaling in, scaling out, but 8 trades, 3 trades, 17, 10, 28, 3, 3. It takes discipline to close out a day with only minus $3. That takes discipline.
Yeah, it does.
It looks like he recovered from a loss, got back to break even, called it quits on a Friday. Great work on that.
Nice.
Great work on that one. Would that be over trading for you, Coach Jay? I'm assuming that he's scaling in, scaling out. Yeah, I think he's scaling in, scaling out because it's the same exit price on a lot of these.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard to tell if it's over trading, especially with micros, because it's going to count each transaction as a separate trade. Unless we're seeing what the trader is doing right now, if these are, to me, it's over trading if you look at the trade report and this trader is trading for 8 hours or 12 hours in the session and making all these trades, right? Where you're just not even giving yourself a break from decision making. But if you're scaling in and out pretty quickly, it's hard to tell if it's over trading or not.
Yeah, it is. It's very hard. From first glance, it does look like over trading, but if you're scaling in and out, it's fine, right? There's no problem with it, but you can understand that could be a flag, right? Like, oh my gosh, someone's taking 138 trades, but your statistics better than we do because you know what you're doing. From first glance, that's always just a flag. Other than that, pretty clean statistics. Just be aware. A lot of times when I do see traders that are consistent like this, you will have, a very, I don't want to say you will have, the probabilities would be you'd have a very ugly day that wipes out the majority of these winners. Like you can see it here, 1 day, 2 day. And so one of these days would wipe out this entire, half of a month that you've been trading really, really well. So that's just something to be aware of. Next trader, the one that I think you just hearted.
Yeah, and then there's one combine, and I'll heart that one as well.
Okay, yeah, let's review these last two and then maybe talk about a slow market setup, answer some more questions, and then finish it up. We still have 25 minutes, so let's go. Thoughts on this one, Coach Jay? We'll pass it off to you on your charts. These statistics, I'll watch it. It's an XFA up almost 15,000, so great work.
Yeah, really great work here. I think this trader said they did take a payout, if that's correct. And if you didn't,
looks like they
it
took
looks
out
like it.
like 6K at the end.
Yep, yeah, because there's no losing days, but we did have a drawdown, so really nice job paying yourself on this. $14,000 balance, 65% win rate. Your wins are bigger than your losses, and with this win rate, you're going to be profitable. No losing days here, and what we've been talking about, not a whole lot of trades. Just looking into this, you're trading micros, trading 10 micros at a clip, it looks like, where this is pretty much a three mini trade. But what I'm seeing is that you're not scaling. Let's see, you're scaling into these trades, but you're not scaling out. Yeah, it's all out at one time, but scaling into it, which is okay. That's fine. It's clearly working. So who am I to say anything? I like the fact that you're journaling every day. Days like this, we got to watch out for. Go ahead, Dakota. You were saying something?
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. I love that this trader is journaling. And then I also love that he's not trading every day. Like he's not trading on Monday and Tuesday. And so he's being selective. And then on top of that, they're journaling. I keep saying he, but my reference is this trader. I don't know like any of that, but this trader and these statistics are journaling. And not trading every single day. And so I think this is very, very important because I see this in a lot of the more professional traders, to be honest, Coach Jay, where they don't trade every day and they don't place a lot of trades. And when they do trade, it's more about quality, and they take note of everything that they're doing. Like, I'm going to place a trade. Sometimes I talk to traders and they say, I only traded one trade this week, and it was one trade, and that was it. Sometimes they don't even trade for a week, and I think it's crazy. But yeah, they're like, hey, so I've been watching and nothing's set up. I've only taken one trade.
Yep.
And that's something to take note of. Is just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I think that should be a lot more common in trading, where it's super boring. No one wants to sit in front of their charts all day and not have a trade, because people are used to a normal job where they do sit, and maybe not sit, but they work for a period of time and they get a paycheck for it. Trading is not like that. You could work for a period of time with no idea whether you're going to get a paycheck after that. So,
or you're paying someone else.
Yeah, you're paying someone else for your time. Yeah. So there has to be a disconnect, right? Where this is not an hourly job. You don't get paid to sit in front of your computer monitor, and so you don't have to trade. It's very, very difficult to not trade for an entire week, or to do what this trader's doing, and that's not trading on Monday and Tuesdays for a good period of October. We don't know why, right? But yeah, that is an area of discipline that I think everybody needs to continue to work on and practice, even myself.
The one thing I'll say about this, Dakota, with this trader, and someone asked in the chat as well, do you think this trader's criteria is to make sure there are no losing days? There are a couple of days in this account where this trader was almost down, or actually this day, the 28th, down what the Topstep daily loss limit was set, down $3,100, was able to recover it and turned it into a $1,900 day. The one thing I would say is that's great emotional control to be able to recover something like that. But plan what those losses look like, where you don't want to try to, ideally we don't have a loss, right? Ideally this is just green for the rest of eternity and you just make a ton of money, but that's not realistic. And especially with not having a personal daily loss limit set, realistically, the $14,000 balance can be lost in one day in an XFA. And I would hate to see that happen, but that's reality, right? So plan with whatever that loss looks like. You're clearly a great trader, but just limit that downside.
Yeah, nope, I agree. And I think it's similar to the last statistics I've seen is when you don't have losing days, how big are those losing days going to be? Do you have a daily loss limit? Are you going to be using it? Is this going to be one of those accounts where, just like I was referring to, all winning days and then boom, it's blown one day, or a couple bad days, right? So always be aware of that and understand that that's always a possibility. We are risk managers. We are all risk managers, not just the risk management team. We are risk managers ourselves. Yeah, that being said, I think we have, one or two more left, and then we could go back to the markets. I'm going to take a look at that last one that I just hearted, the quick feedback. Let's take a look at that. All right, here's some quick feedback anyway that the trader asked. Let's go through and take a look at this one. And then, yeah, this is an interesting one. Man, I don't know. This is...
Stop trading Tuesday?
Maybe. I mean, you're not trading every day. You're being very selective. It looks like your winning days is just one trade and done. And then your losing days are multiple trades. Why is it that your winning days are just one or two trades and your losing days are multiple trades? Because maybe you just can't accept that you took that first loss. Because if you would have stopped at the first loss, maybe that would have been, no, I mean, you had $500 on the 22nd, and then you kept trading. And then, yeah, I mean, quality over quantity. There's not enough statistics here for me.
Look at the 15th, Dakota, and I know you're kind of looking at these days with multiple trades. The 15th you see this little spike here that almost got back to break even. Have you ever been there before?
It seems like you're trying to pass an account and you're 100 points away from passing a combine, and then it just gets out of hand.
Yep. Yeah, this is that kind of emotional roller coaster it happens to all of us, where you were down so much. You were down almost $1,000. You recovered some of it. You got back to half of it, continued to try to trade, got back to down $1,000, almost back to break even, and then ultimately ended where you were trying to avoid being. And this is why we say, accept what the loss looks like. Because this looks like trying to avoid a loss and then ultimately taking it anyway, where, it sucks. I hate losing. Dakota, you don't like losing either, but it's the reality of what we have to do. And when you try to avoid it, sometimes you take it anyway. You take a loss anyway, right? Yeah. And we've all been here before. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to throw out a cheeky Chicago Bears comment, but no, keep going. Keep going. Andre's not here.
Yeah, but that being said, the account is still in the positive. Same thing that we kind of told the other traders, right? Accept what a losing day looks like in your account. $1,000 seems a little bit too big just based on your winning days. So maybe cutting that in half puts this account in a much different place. But yeah, that's all I have on that. Yeah, someone says, bro, check gold.
I'm watching it. Nothing. It's just barcoding. Nothing is really going on in gold. I was looking at the 1 hour chart, but we're kind of hovering around 27.98 back and forth. Want
to set up that slow markets trade?
Yeah, let's do that. Good point. Few things that I wanted to touch base on first. We did talk about tomorrow's Halloween. I don't know, how does that affect trading at all for you, Coach Jay? We had earnings after the bell today. What news events do we have tomorrow?
That's a good question.
Yeah, let's take a look. We had the Bank of Japan decision that's tentative. We do have initial jobless claims. Oh, how do we not know this one, Coach Jay? PCE.
Yes.
On Halloween. You guys are going to have fun. Tomorrow, there's a lot of news tomorrow.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Chicago PMI as well after the open. Should be a good one. And then we have Apple, Amazon, Intel earnings after the close as well.
Well, that's going to be a fun Halloween. You have all this news. It's like someone's mentioned in the chat. It's earnings season right in the middle of it, and end of the month. Wow. It's going to be
end of the month too. Wow.
Eventful tomorrow. So it's going to be very scary. So, yeah, be safe tomorrow. Maybe
Can't wait.
Even would tomorrow be considering taking a day off? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's
I'm going to be on fast markets, so I don't think I can do that, but
I think it's going to be good. I think there's going to be volatility, especially after the move today. Yeah, volatility is opportunity. I'm not going to be taking it off, of course. Let's go through tick or treat or trick or treat. Tick or treat. Yeah, you're not going to want to miss tomorrow. No, trust me, you do not. Now remember, if you guys don't know, I think you know about this, Coach Jay, is I'm committed to be a VIP coach.
Yep.
How has it been? How has that experience for you been?
I think it's been great. We had a VIP call today with the team. We had one yesterday as well. We have some traders that are moving over in XFAs, taking payouts. It's really good, Dakota. When I joined Topstep, I came in as a one-on-one coach, and we don't do one-on-ones anymore. But this is probably the closest that we've gotten to it, where you really understand how a trader trades, how they make decisions, what their motivations are for trading, and then helping them with that. So I think it'll be great. The more traders participate, the better. Asking questions are the quickest way to get to answers. So yeah, it's been great. I think whoever is going to be on your VIP team is going to have a great experience. Obviously a great trader and coach. So yeah, should be excited.
Be the best or worst experience they have.
What kind of coach are you, Dakota? What kind of coach are you?
We're gonna find out. I don't know if they're gonna be lucky or yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm gonna be up there in the top with you, or traders are gonna be wishing to be drafted or traded. I'm gonna be that guy. They're gonna demand a trade,
right,
off my team, Bill Belichick style.
I could see that. I think you're definitely a Bill Belichick type of coach, where it's just like, well, why would you do that,
man?
Bill Belichick is it's like make you question yourself kind of coach, which is good sometimes.
It's going to be interesting. It really is. It's going to be, yeah, you guys are great. You, Ray, everybody, all the coaches, Vince, is really good. Well better than I am, or much better than I am at the coaching aspect. And that's something I do wish, and to continue to get better. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm trying to think of anything else before tomorrow and that news event. No trades for me yet. You can see I have my live account on. I mean, the opportunity passed me by. You can see here's the Nikkei on the 1 hour chart. If we take a look at the 5-minute chart, that was the trade. We didn't get all the way down to where I was looking for. And sometimes that's kind of how the markets are. In terms of a slow markets trade, Jay, I think just with all the news events coming out tomorrow,
makes sense.
Man, that was the trade. Just getting in long on the NASDAQ at that 37 level, having a stop loss at 396, 395, and that one that I explained was the decent one. However, maybe crude oil. There is a setup on crude. So let's talk about that. So if you guys want to know what a slow markets trade is, this is purely an example. I shared the Topstep disclosure, the Topstep risk disclosure. This is purely education. This is purely for an example, but I do see a decent trade set up here on crude oil. And so I like to start on the hourly chart, and I am, as of right now, I can see a possible trade to where if crude does start to rally and maybe has a chance to fill this gap, or at least fill a portion of the gap that we had on Sunday, I'd like to get into a long position. And so the way I would like to do that is a buy stop, meaning if crude oil rallies up, I would get triggered into a long. And I do like a buy stop right around, let's say, this would be a 3-bar reversal if we do breakout of 68.98. So a buy stop. This is, let's see. Let's do this for a demo account. That would be a better idea. I'm not gonna do this in a live account. Let's do this in a demo. Let's go to crude oil. Let's go there. Okay, so here we go. Demo account, combine. No, this is an XFA. Let's do it in a demo. Okay, let's do this in a demo. So buy stop at purely, for example, oh, come on. This is giving me fits like it did last night. Okay, so here's the buy stop at 68.98. Then a decent stop loss would be, say, 68. Oh, man, where would it be a decent stop loss? 68.68. So I'm just marking these out on the chart. So this is kind of like a rough draft. And then the take profit is going to be, I would like a take profit, say, around 69.77. This is purely an example, okay? And so this is like a rough draft. I do this on an hourly chart where I say, okay, this looks like a good entry. This looks like a decent stop loss. And this is where my take profit would be. So I'd either like 69.77, possibly even a better price, actually a better take profit. It's going to be 69.60, 69.60. So this is about a 2-to-1 risk reward, and it's a buy stop. The next thing I like to do is I would zoom into a 5-minute chart, and then I could fine tune it. I could say, okay, now as I start to zoom in on Google Maps, is this a decent place for a stop loss? Is this a decent place for a buy stop? So immediately I do like actually 68.66 as a stop loss. It looks like it's just below, like there's a little bit of resistance here, support there. So that's a decent place for my stop loss. My entry, I'm actually liking a little bit lower. I like that we just made a pivot 10 minutes ago. And so for me, if we do break above, 68.93, then that would trigger me into an order. So this is saying I'm going to let this go tonight. And then if the market, it could go up, trigger me into a long. I'm in a long. My stop loss, take profit. And I think I like that for my take profit. That's a decent place for a take profit. The reason why I'm having that there is you can see there's a lot of support and resistance in this zone, and that's a decent area. I'm going to make it end in a 3 for easier math. There we go. We have 93 for the entry, for buy stop, 65, and then 63. There we go. So that is an example of how I like to trade. I love trading like this because I would let this just run overnight, and like that's it. I'm going to be risking, it's $10 per tick here in crude oil, and so I'm risking, what is this? 300, a little less than $300, $280 to make 700. So risk about, it's a 2-to-1 risk reward. And this is a good example of how I like to trade. Thoughts on that, Coach Jay? Now, I know you were just sitting there listening, but...
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good trade idea. You have your risk planned out. Like we talked about, crude is potentially going to fill that gap at some point. And that's what the trade is set up to do. So I like it. Risk is managed. There was a trader that asked the other day, like, how do you know if it's a good trade or not? Sometimes it's obvious, like selling the all-time high in gold the other day. But if you see something and it tells you to take a short, as long as the risk is managed, it can be considered a good trade, right? So I like the idea.
Correct. Yep. And I do the same thing with all these markets that I analyze each night: NASDAQ, crude oil, the Nikkei, obviously, and then gold. Oh man. I think it's like Cahoon, LA. Gold may crack lower. Man, I've been seeing traders say that all month. I wish. All year. I mean, you have these sell-offs, which have been decent trades to the downside. So, yeah, I might see gold going back down to like the mid 780s, if that's what you mean. Maybe back down here to this support. But in terms of cracking lower, it's very hard to sell this market. Very, very hard for me anyway to find shorts. But
gold
I do like that.
does do this thing where it makes a new all-time high, especially near a major level, and then it sells off 30 points, consolidates for a little bit, and then breaks out again. Could we be seeing that potentially, right? We see one here. This is going back to October 21st, right? 30-point sell-off. On the 23rd, we had a 50-point sell-off. Could we see it here? Maybe, but...
I mean, if gold hits 2790, that's a massive sell-off for gold. That's huge. The way it's been. Yeah. Oh man, it's crazy. Crazy times. This is why I love trading. It's never boring. It's never the same. It's the same markets, but it's never the same price action. And it's always fun. It's new every day. How long have we been doing this coaching together? For over a year now, and
yep.
I have not been bored. There's some days where we were trying to trade the rollover, but even then, like the NASDAQ would just drop 100 points and then it just would basically retrace that entire move and then
Right.
drop another 100 points. And so it's never boring in the markets. There's always opportunities, regardless of whether it's London session, Asian session, or the New York session. And I don't know if you've ever been asked this question yet, Coach Jay, but the last question of the evening, what's your opinion on the new to come trading hours that was just announced?
I think we should all trade less. I'll say that's my opinion. I constantly try to find ways to be at the charts less and less. That's my opinion. It will bring potentially some more volume to the markets, but yeah, I think we should find ways to trade less.
I'm going to agree with you. It's just the same thing when we was reviewing those statistics, right? Just because you can doesn't mean we should. And if the regulators, or not the regulators, who's it, CME, if they're going to open up trading for the markets and like cryptocurrency, right? Who knows? Maybe in another 10 years, every market's going to be open 24/7.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was the NYSE, right? New York Stock Exchange that was increasing hours.
So. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not futures. Futures is already open 22 hours a day. It's open long enough. We get a little bit of a break. Futures are open 23 hours a day. But day trading at like 22 because you need to have all your positions closed out 10 minutes after the New York session. But yeah, markets are already open long enough.
Actually, now that I think about it, I don't know that I hate that. Because someone just put in the chat, currently the NYSE trades 4 a.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. If they open up hours, then that kind of overlaps with that London session open, which maybe we get some more volume in stocks in London. Again, I'm still trying to find ways to trade less, but interesting for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, it's nice that we have like Robinhood and all the other companies. They're bringing futures into the light, and we're gonna continue to see more traders. Love it. I love it. And yeah, that's all I have. Go Lakers. Stay safe tomorrow. It's gonna be scary. Oh man, dang it! I was gonna watch the highlights and still have a little bit of a hope, but oh well.
They lost.
Oh well. I've been talking too much smack, and that's what happened. Too much smack, and they end up taking a loss. But okay. Thanks, Coach Jay. Thanks again. Good luck tomorrow. I'm curious to see what you're going to be dressed as.
Thanks, man. Should be fun. Take care, everybody.
Have a
good one, everyone.
Enjoy. Bye.